Monday this upcoming week.
Hello, chat. Are we live?
We'll see how
Yeah, I
the
can
meta
now like
changes.
pinpoint who I want to learn now because we have a set roster.
Okay, so the way I see it individually,
We bring the
we
boom.
shouldn't like discussing like what heroes we want to practice shouldn't fall on like our teammates telling us. It should be falling on the individual. Like for me, my plans is to practice Mirage and get my Infernus up to par again to like my other characters. I want to get my Infernus up there so we can have a bit more flexibility with our M1, and then also like Mirage so we have even more flexibility already. Like,
Yeah,
I
just think I have more
Uber,
ideas. That's what I want to do.
you need to play characters that you think the team needs, but also that you enjoy playing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
Right.
pick a pocket. I think low key we have 2 pocket players. Having a third would be nice.
I think we need one more Mo player.
Yeah,
Mo,
a
I
Mo,
fucking hate Mo.
Yeah, a
Okay, so it's
Mo
not
is
Goober.
very important.
Just give me.
I said I was gonna
Deathy
try.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, Deathy and I already discussed. Like, Deathy already is gonna play it because, like, there might maybe one day, and like, who knows when, like, we'll have him on like Mo. But I think it's important that like, Fickle can like still practice it. Scout if he wants to pick it up, he can.
It's also one of
definitely
those things
think-
where, in theory, like we don't technically need another Mo player if we had like another GT player or another X player. You know what I mean?
That's fair, actually. Yeah.
I'm gonna
agree.
focus on picking up Lash. I think that's what.
fair,
Okay. Yeah, I think Lash for you is a lot more important. I
Yeah.
think if anyone will pick up something like Mo, it's going to be Fickle.
Mhm.
Now, my reason for this is because Aegis Aurora, they tend to flex their like tanky like frontliner guy, like the dude they normally have on Mo. They'll flex that if they don't have a support onto the Whistler guy. And Whistler's kind of like playing the more supporty like characters. Like he's the only majority of the time we do see him play, especially in like tonight and fight night. He's playing stuff like Infernus, but most of the time he will be on like stuff like Ivy and whatnot. Which kind of just fulfilling that supportive like lane pushy and then like CC and like silent stuff like for the team. Like just overall really good utility. I think it's just it'd be nice for Fickle just to pick it up and just send it then. Now, and the thing is, right? I wouldn't mind another GT player. I think
I
a
could
lot
try
of the
it.
I
times,
play him a little bit.
yeah,
Like
there you
I've
go.
spammed him on an alt account and played him a couple on main.
Well, how many fucking
Yeah.
alt accounts do you have?
The thing with playing GT is that 99% of players say that they can play GT, but 99% of players won't like go toe to toe with Vegas in a fucking mirror matchup and say that they'll win.
yeah.
So you should be literally comfortable laning in Vegas 1v1 both on GT and say that you'd probably go even with them.
No, I'd win.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
think
would.
I think
Have you seen
honestly
my
right
GT?
now, there is only 2 GT players in this region, and that's like Vegas and I. I don't even think anyone else on any other
Hello,
team can,
RoboCat.
like, play that.
RoboCat plays Battle Bit.
On
relax.
a team that
Not
actually
trained
plays
us.
the game.
I honestly, I
Yeah.
enjoy
No,
it.
I
I
don't.
enjoyed it when I played him.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't want to like seem toxic, but I'm being brutally fucking honest. I think every other GT player right now just doesn't have an idea what they want to do on that character. They seem lost.
And they're just
So I
picking the
think-
character because the counter's Vindicta now.
Yeah,
That's
they are
it.
literally like they're cookie cutter picking the character and building the same items. They're not like flexible at all. So I think it's important that, especially since I'm on the team, I can help anyone that wants to play that character. I have no problem discussing and trying to help you like with certain issues. You gotta let me know.
Yep, I'm gonna go to bed. I would
Alright, man, have a good
recommend not just sitting like don't rewatch the VOD now. Like don't talk about it too much. Like go enjoy the rest of your evening. Like watch it back tomorrow.
For sure.
Think about what you want to do. Think about. I guess the main point I would say is like think about how you feel about the game, and then look at the VOD and stuff tomorrow when you've slept on it and go, could I have done more here? Like I was really frustrated about this situation. It didn't go well. Like the earn play. I'm just gonna sleep on it. I wake up. I still feel not sure about it. You watch it back. You get some context. Like don't do something else or go just play some like pugs. Honestly, play some other shit.
I'm gonna go eat. It's fucking 9:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat as well.
All right, man.
That's
All right, you
awesome.
guys go eat.
Express.
That was
I don't
really
have time
fun.
to
I
eat.
had
I've got
lot
a
of fun.
coaching session in 30 minutes.
I had so much fun.
Yeah,
That was
Whoa.
great.
this last week has
That's a
been
lot of
great.
fun.
I think I've really enjoyed like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
scrims and like doing the presentations and like feeling
Yeah, yeah.
prepped.
Yeah,
So let's keep that up.
Best
Ryan,
presentations
I
ever.
can tell you this. I think finally having you like do like what you
Something.
feel comfortable with, and like something as well is like it is very noticeable like how much we've been improving. I really appreciate that you even been putting the effort to get
Same.
us.
W
The
Ryan.
fact that you're getting us a presentation every day, I don't think you understand how important that is.
Yeah.
That makes you
helps a
different
lot.
from other coaches.
Yeah, for someone
Yeah.
like me who's a really visual learner, and I like personally when I'm like absorbing information, I absorb it fast as fuck. But like when like trying to learn shit from scratch, I'm less resourceful. Having just the information spoon fed to me, especially like the Valorant comparisons, are really helpful. I feel like I've learned a lot really fast off that.
Oh yeah, I could take us to fucking champs in Valorant, but in this
Damn,
game,
Wait, you're
in
taking us
MOBA,
to champs in
that's
Valorant?
different story.
Yep.
Wait, what's
yeah,
happening?
With you.
All right,
That's a lot of
fuck
money.
that
They
luck.
give you a
Let's
lot of
go.
money. I'll play that shit game for the money. I don't
Yeah,
care.
That game is dog shit. All those players are terrible.
shit.
I'll go in and tear that shit up.
Oh,
True.
shit.
They'll pay
Salty's
me
just like
100,000
shit talking
a
to a
month.
lot of people today. Like it's Valorant
Yeah,
players,
well,
like fucking
Fuck
Valorant
every
Talent
every
players,
good Talon
players.
player.
Yeah, well, I'm just being honest. I literally will see these guys pick GT and scrims, but never played in pubs or in like they'll do it and sometimes in face it. I never
Name
see them
names, Salty.
practicing it.
Name
I'm
names.
not gonna name names because like
Name,
I
name,
forget
name,
them. They're
name,
all
name,
the
name,
same.
name,
They're
name.
literally like it's a Buzz Lightyear meme, and they're all like Buzz Lightyear. Like I can't tell who's
Wow.
like good or not. They're all the
When someone
same.
says I have a pocket GT,
Yeah.
just like everyone else.
Also, for
like
anything that I
Okay,
can't
man,
help
out.
with, for anything that I can't help with on like micro or like in-game sense, you've got River. River's always like around and help, like
For
wants
sure.
to help.
Yeah, River can't wait to yell at us about this one. I can tell.
Yeah, she messaged
I
me
played so
saying like
bad
the
on
second
Pocket.
game was like good to rewatch.
I also played
and,
really
like,
bad on Pocket, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Probably Ryan saw it. I charged a Warden out of your affliction. How that makes you feel better. It's not your fault. It happened.
Damn, rough.
I really
Yeah.
like the you charge two people into Infernosol, like
Yeah.
by secret shop, like under. I was like, that's sick. Like we constantly do that, like just having these like crazy moments of synergy. You do that more consistently, and it's like you're the Paper X of Valorant, of Deadlock. Jesus Christ, Paper X of Valorant.
Valorant.
I'm going to bed.
Good night.
Good night. Good
Alright,
night. Good night.
River's
GG's,
asking to
guys.
do a team review tomorrow, and I said yeah.
I'm starving Marvin. Tomorrow I'm
Yeah.
home like 6 EST probably. We have to do
Okay,
it
so we
after
can meet at
that.
6 then ish, if that's fine.
Okay. I'll try
one
to
time-
make it just like my bus is fit.
Yeah, let me see. I mean, we don't have to meet at like a super strict time.
No scrim
Yeah.
tomorrow.
No, there is a scrim at 7.
Okay.
So we only have one scrim tomorrow, so we can either do review after or before, so we don't have to be strict.
Yeah.
Let's
We
aim
could do
for
it after
before, I
too.
think, so we have something to look into while we play the game.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
Alright. GG's,
All right,
guys.
GG's.
Yeah,
Good
GG's,
effort
hey,
today,
GG's.
guys. Good
Smell you
showing.
later.
And
Alright, stay
yeah,
hard.
enjoy your night. Enjoy your night. Eat some food.
Yeah, don't piss me off.
I'm gonna
Don't piss me
literally
off.
sit. I'm gonna literally sit here. I'm gonna just sit here.
All right, I gotta go coach, but maybe I'll be
Oh,
back later.
swag.
I gotta.
Okay.
Salty.
I'm
Play
leaving,
battle,
bro. I'm
Battlefield.
leaving. Bro. Oh, swag. Bro literally just said swag. What? Hello? I think Hydration runs away to each other better than you guys. It's definitely something to work on. Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I think they're really good at not only... Okay, so in my opinion, the biggest gap between Hydration and other like good NE teams is really just like the execution. Like, sure, from a macro perspective, they're really good, but I don't think they're like insane. Like, I think Melee Creeps has really good macro in general. I think like Big and Brolik is going to have a good macro. I think Llama Lords has decent, pretty good macro most of the time too. And so like, I think the biggest difference is just like the execution. Like they're really good at executing in those micro fights, like those little things, right? The little escapes, the little like ability usage, like all like the positioning. Like as you can see, when they're going in the base, you see when they're sieging us, like they're all taking high ground immediately, right? That's fair. About the dead calming. That's fair. That's something to bring up. Something to bring up. Yeah, Hydration has a good early game no matter what he plays, honestly. He's just a really good player. He just always has a good early game. Like, he doesn't always have a good early game. I've seen him have bad early games sometimes, but most of the time he has a good early game. In 10 minutes, they're always up 5k. I think game 1, they weren't up anything, no? Did you go over why you guys went with pocket guys this last game? The pocket pick was like, we didn't have a ton of things left in the pool. As far as guys, we thought it was a good guys game, but the pocket thing was just like, ooh, we don't really know what to pick, and then the hero pools are kind of limited. We didn't really know what to pick. All right, so we're gonna do a coaching session on stream with Citadel. I'm down to start like in a sec. 1 sec, just changing the title. Hello from boom. I'm DMing you on Discord. Do you see my comment? I believe it's important. I mean, I responded to it. As far as the running away to each other better, yeah, I responded to it. I agree with you 100%. They're way better at like executing those small little things. Yeah, if you're talking about if they would have gotten those 2 picks, they could have went mid. But because 2 escaped at literally 1 health, they couldn't do anything of it. Yeah, for sure. There's like 1 time where we were so close to just like getting mid and like flipping the game, but like just like small little execution mistakes like saved it for them. You could call it mistakes or just like really good play by them. It's a mix of both, yeah. Matchmaking is so bad during the week. Damn, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, hopefully we get a big update soon so that, you know, that some people come back, matchmaking's better, etc., etc. I think you guys played well. Thanks, Yodi. I appreciate it. Excited to scrim again? Hell yeah. I'm always excited to scrim myself. Yeah, game two is close. Sounds good, Citadel. No worries. Could have won either way. Yeah, I definitely could have won either way, yeah. No, I'm pretty happy with how we played game 2. I think game 1 we kind of like... Game 1 was fine until it wasn't fine. It was like pretty even until it wasn't. But sometimes that's just how deadlock goes, you know what I mean? Start from the bottom, now we hear. Hell yeah. In the clip. Alright, let me call you on Discord.
Hey, Coach, 1 sec. I need just a sec.
Yeah. Take your time. Other than you, do you guys have someone who can learn Play Lash? Yeah, I mean, plenty of people could learn it. Scout said he'll learn it. Maybe Goober or someone else will learn it. Like, it's just a short-term issue. It's crazy how big 24 inches can look next to a laptop screen. Tell me about it. I've got like a giant fucking I've got a giant 32-inch monitor. Okay, so my setup is like, so I've got like this like 32-inch like vertical monitor, like right here. It just goes like straight up vertical, as you can see on the camera. And then I've got like my main like BenQ right here. All right, perfect. You ready to go? Oh shit, I gotta sneeze. Uh-oh. Oh. I think Pocket is dangerous because it seems like the hard fuck is a Pocket. Like, you show up and got deleted from existence instantly, even if your Pocket was scuffed. It was very obvious. Yeah, that's true. A lot of it was from me just positioning badly, and also just like the Grey Talon matchup, like just deleting me. But yeah, I just played really bad on Pocket, honestly. But yeah, their target focus is good. I didn't show my Chrome tabs. I showed my Opera tabs. Hello? Those were my Opera tabs. Write that down. Write that down.
Bless you. Okay, I'm back. I'm ready.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Oh, 1 sec. Let me just finish downloading it.
Thanks again for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for your flexibility and patience. So I don't know if this is the first time you've done on stream, but like you're gonna have to. I won't be able to share my screen on Discord. You're gonna have to look at the Twitch stream, which is pretty low latency, so it should not be an issue. But yeah,
It's like 2 seconds. It's fine.
yeah. All right, let me read the notes. Is it okay if I screen share the notes so everybody has some
Yeah,
context?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. All right, so why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit, maybe to chat, so they can have a little bit of concept about what we're going into for this coaching session.
Sure. So this is the 3rd time I've had coaching with Deathy. I started the game, I think, early September. I have about 500 hours. Most of my playtime's on Haze. I recently been playing a ton of Warden, and he's probably my best. I come from Counter-Strike and Overwatch. In Counter-Strike, CSGO, I was global for a bit. In Overwatch 1, I was top 500 for a brief moment and Grandmaster a long time. And then I played a little bit of League when I was in high school, like long ago, and I have about 20 hours Dota. So for me, the hardest part of this game is the decision-making, macro, like all the MOBA aspects. I feel like my mechanics are getting better. Like I think, so I'm Phantom 6. Relative to my rank, I'd say my aim is above average, but my movement's kind of bad. Decision making is pretty bad, and I feel like I still kind of play it like it's a hero figure, like Overwatch or something like that. And my main issue recently has been dying too much, and I feel like tunnel visioning, especially in team fights, where like seeing an opportunity for a pick, and I'll go chase them down and die for it, stuff like that. So yeah, is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, so this is not our first coaching session. So here you've got your notes. You said you think your main issues right now are taking too much damage in lane, dying too much in lane, dying too much overall. You mentioned macro as well, so we'll see this. Lacking awareness, tunnel vision in team fights. And I do agree that from what I've seen, I don't think your mechanics are the issue. Like I think if you kept the same exact, if you kept the same exact mechanics, I think that you could probably like reach Eternus with same exact mechanics.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm listening, but 1 sec, getting ice.
It's not free, by the way. Goober just lies. Mechanics like 10% of your gameplay? Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, it depends to some extent. Like, I think the higher in level you go, the more mechanics kind of matter a little bit. Like,
sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. I have wireless headphones. I'm here.
All good, all good. That's all good. All right, so let's get into the game. For a little bit of context, this was, I've been coaching Citadel for a decent amount of time, and I think at some point, I remember telling you, I'd be like, yeah, I think you're going to get in my games, like, soon enough, right? Because, like, the player base is kind of low, and like I think you're high enough rank to get in my games soon. And so the fated day happened, and he was in my game here. So this is actually, there's Salty and I, an average Jonas. So this should be a good game to review, right? This is a game where I would say that the average MMR is like significantly above where you're at, right? So that should like help us, because this is not like an Archon game or like a Phantom game or whatever. So it should really help us like figure out what's going on. It should be much easier to be able to tell like what mistakes you're making as well.
Right. For this one, I think I only died like 4 times, and I'm usually good about recognizing when I'm in a high, like the average rank is higher than me, so I'm extra careful. And I think this game I played a little too passive. I could have done more damage, but I didn't feed, and my goal was like, I'm playing with Deathy. I'm not throwing this game.
That's fair. That's fair. I would say I appreciate the sentiment. One thing to be careful of is if you want to maximize learning, it's important that you don't play too afraid when you're playing in like higher ranked games.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pause real quick.
I think I did this game.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, we'll watch it, but I know a lot of people, myself included, like when I was climbing in Dota or whatever, if I got into like a really high ranked game, I'd be like, oh, I gotta like really try hard, and like I'd be kind of scared to make a lot of moves because I'd be like, oh, these players are really good, blah blah, right? So you kind of have to treat everybody the same, even though like sure these players are probably better than the average players you're playing against. Like for some people, I think what can help, I mean, I don't think it's an issue for you, but like if anyone ever struggles with that, you can always enable like streamer mode if you get into your head too much, so you don't like see people's names or whatever, and you just disable. You can also just like disable the rank, so you don't see the rank or whatever, so you just focus on your own gameplay. But regardless. We'll watch the lane. First thing in lane is looking at the matchup. I mean, Warden, Bebop, like a lot of Bebop lanes, it's like Bebop's a strong laner, but he's a very conditional laner. So it's like if you land a hook, you'll get kills. If you don't land a hook, it's gonna be like you're not gonna get a ton from Bebop.
Okay.
But that's usually what, like, first thing I'd recognize is like, okay, like what's our kind of like win condition in this lane, right? And in this lane, it's pretty obvious. Like, you hit a hook. If you don't hit a hook, you guys can probably still get a harass, but it's going to be kind of tough to kill Calvin Lash without hook.
I normally don't run my AFK like this. I must have been changing some settings.
Yeah, I figured. Don't worry. If you're standing still, I assume there's a reason for it. So
Yeah.
I'll just
What
speed
is
up a
that?
little bit while you're
Bug.
changing the settings. Okay. Yeah, don't worry about the little texture floating behind you. That happens when you pause sometimes in replays. Because I do believe one very small thing, but you missed a minion because of the time that you backed. So I think you missed like you got like the soul secure, but you missed the minion because you're down 50 souls on your Bebop. So I'm pretty sure that you backed at a time where a minion was about to die and you were out of range when he got it. So just your timing to buy was a little bit weird there. It doesn't matter a ton because you only miss like one minion, but if it happens consistently, it could be a problem, yeah.
I feel like I might be going back to buy too much. Like once I get a 500, then I usually go buy it. I mean, depending on the wave.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really depends. Like, buying as soon as you can is like generally good, but like it depends on the wave state, right? So if you're able to apply pressure, generally you don't want to just like buy. Like I think there you guys had full wave prio, like you were able to apply full like a lot of pressure under tower, right? And here you're like out in the open for no reason.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we go back like here you see. I think in general it's just like you're not considering the wave state enough in your actions. Like in the first wave, you had wave prio, like the wave was pushing in. You could have applied pressure, but you didn't. And here they have full wave prio, but you're like walking forward and shooting them. So you really got to be careful about that.
Yeah, it's kind of the tunnel vision, taking too much damage. Like I'm so focused on hitting Kelvin, I walk up and like I'm almost dead here. Like it's so bad.
Yeah. I mean, in general, like shooting Kelvin there pretty much like does nothing. I mean, you can shoot him a little bit, right? But realistically, it's like in that situation, you just need to... I think the tunnel vision is part of it, but I think the biggest part is like all of your actions in lane should be dictated by the creeps, in my opinion, the troopers. Like, because troopers are the most important part of laning, right? You can get kills and whatever, but at the end of the day, as long as you're managing the waves properly, the kills don't matter that much.
All right, especially with like soul duplication.
Yeah, exactly. So I would just be like, okay, like generally speaking, obviously there's exceptions, right? But I think that the level that you're at, if you want to get to like Eternus, it's really just focusing on fundamentals. And then once you get to Eternus, you can get into all the exceptions. But to me, it's like, okay, we have wave prio, we can apply pressure. They have wave prio, we can just chill.
And it's probably like your wave is pushing.
Yeah, wave prio is like your wave is pushing into them. Somebody mentioned like is extra regen and healing rate fine. I think in your situation you really have a choice because you were solo. Generally, I wouldn't want to have those two items, but like you kind of had to based on the decisions that you took.
Yeah, I normally don't build this much regen, but I just knew that I did not want to die too much this game.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Okay, so here... gonna finally give it... Okay, so fine, go ahead.
This is a mistake because, okay, so if I'm going on your vision, right, here you know that the Kelvin is gone, right? The Kelvin has been gone for quite some time, okay? Like, in fact, let's see where you see the Kelvin is gone. Like, here you already don't see him. And, like, at this point, you see the Kelvin on the minimap. And so, based on this information, you need to use this information to apply pressure. At this point, it is too late to... Okay, so when someone rotates, if you're in a dual lane, you have two options, right? One option is you match them, so you just follow them on the rotation. And the second option is you apply pressure where they're not. So what that could mean is two things. Either you push this tower or you gank, like, let's say the other dual lane. I think in this case, pushing the tower would be the best thing. But here, instead going to do boxes, it's like you're losing a lot, right? Because if you look here, you guys could have gotten some damage on the slash. You could have gotten some tower damage. You could have kept the wave priority here. Like, this whole time could have been... The Lash should be feeling pressured, right? Because he's alone. He's in a 1v2.
I have this unhelpful obsession with boxes. Like, I wish I didn't. I'm trying to work on that. I have, like, mild OCD, and I just want to get them. I don't know.
That's fine, honestly. I think it's going to be easier to, like, once you got the habit of getting boxes, it's going to be very easy to, like, unlearn it and just be like, okay, let's apply pressure. In this situation, it's like, okay, the Kelvin is still missing, right? At this point, I'd be asking questions like, where is the Kelvin? I don't know. But if he's not here, Like, if I don't see signs of the Kelvin, I'd tell my Bebop, like, hey, like, Kelvin's not here, let's go aggressive. Now he's back. And he has ult. So that changes things, but yeah.
Because we could have gotten, like, what, a quarter of the tower and some good damage on Lash.
You could have gotten some good damage on the tower and good damage on Lash, and early on it might not seem like it matters, but it definitely, like, matters a lot, because, like, the earlier you can get towers, the better.
Right. And I might have missed some of the wave when I went and got boxed. I'm not sure.
I think this is actually a good ult. You do have to distinct. I don't think you had to be so afraid. Like, I think you could have ran forward a little bit more. Because Lash had already used all of his burst, right? So I think you could have, like, ran forward a tiny bit for... I wouldn't have hard chased, but you could have chased a little bit more.
Okay.
But it's okay.
Yeah, I get another, like, 4 hits of the ult.
Yeah, you could have gotten a little bit, which would have healed you. But at the end of the day, you have healing, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really change much here.
And Kelvin's your teammate, right? Yeah, Fickle Frog.
Yeah, Fickle Frog. Yeah, Fickle Frog's my teammate, yeah. So in this situation, like, at this point, the lane has pretty much proven, like, hey, this is a stalemate, right? Like, they've gotten a slight lead over you guys from just, like, I don't know, farming or doing boxes or whatever. But when you have a lane like this, you want to try, like... So your Bebop is looking for opportunities to gank, which is what Bebop does. So here, instead of applying pressure, like, realistically, you're not going to be able to do a lot to the Slash. What I would really like to see you do is just go farm a jungle camp and get your own game, like, ahead. Or you could gank the other duo lane, but I think... In this situation, your Bebop is doing the ganking. You should be, like, farming.
Okay. I noticed on Warden, like, once I get Flowing Hex, my ganks are way better. That break point.
Yeah, Slowing Hex is really good. I mean, there's a lot of good items. It really depends what you prefer, but... Yeah, like, some Wardens prefer rushing Quicksilver reload so that they can farm a little bit faster, right?
Right. By the way, I've been using, I don't know, Sharik?
Sharik,
build. Sharik, yeah, I've been using his gun build. I like yours, too. I've just been trying his, but...
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
about going back to yours.
Try different gun builds, see what you like. Like, I think you're at the point, like, when you're Phantom 6 or whatever, I think it's, like, you can start experimenting with builds and, like, seeing what you like, especially in a few characters. I haven't played Warden a little bit, too, and, like, honestly, there's so many, like, situational buys. Like, Warden can buy so many different items for the gun build that are all good, like, so it really depends. But as you can see, this game, like, you haven't gotten ahead at all, right? Even though, like, you haven't, like, accomplished anything by just sitting here either. Now your Bebop comes, hits a hook, and this is good. But you could be here and, like, following up on this whole situation, regardless of, like, you know, regardless of what you were doing that whole time. So what I'm trying to say is, like, the whole time that you were alone, you should have just been looking to, hey, I'm going to push the wave, and I'm going to farm.
Okay.
Very much.
That could be up at, like, what? Maybe 6k at this point.
Yeah, you could probably be at 6k, because you would have cleared, like, probably at least 2 jungle camps, I think. So, yeah, you'd probably be, like, right around 6k, yeah.
Okay, because I just hit 5k here.
Yeah, you might be, like, a little bit below 6k, but you'd definitely be, like, at least 700 souls richer, I think. Which is significant, I mean. And here, like, I would just buy, like, at this point, the way that this game is going, I'd be like, okay, the early game, it's going to be, like, a bit of a farm fest, right? So I would just get an item that allows me to farm. So here in this situation, I would probably... You know, I would most likely just get Quicksilver or Cold Front would be an idea.
Okay. And the reason it's a farm game is because we're not really going to kill him, right? And my Bebop's storming, or...
Yeah, I mean, the way that the lane has gone, neither party has, like, a significant lead. And your Bebop is roaming a bunch, right? So now your role just kind of becomes, okay, I'm going to sit here, defend this tower, and farm. So, like, I wouldn't go Slowing Hex because I feel like, okay, like, I don't really want to get active right now. Like, sure, you have Slowing Hex, but you're still stuck in 1v2 because your Bebop's roaming everywhere, which is the correct play. Like... You want Bebop to be very active and to be roaming.
I still have the bad habit of, like, I find a build I like and I buy what's on the build. I try, like, not always, but often.
Right. No, that's fair. But that's really, that is one of the big difference makers, is, like, adapting to different games. Because, like, if you want to be active right away, then Slowing Hex is great. But if you want to, like, not be active right away and just, like, farm for a little bit, like, right now, realistically, you've been given very little opportunity. What Slowing Hex does allow you to do, however, is 1v1 the Lash. So... This Lash, you should not be afraid of him. You should be running at this guy. Okay. He's half health. Like, there's no reason to be afraid of him. You really need to, like, make him feel like he can't walk up. And, like, there's a lot of stuff happening elsewhere on the map. Like, I really think that you would have been able to apply pressure here. Because if I'm the Slash, I'm 680 health, and there's a Warden running at me, I'm like, man, I don't think I can defend this tower. Especially, like, if the Warden has ult at any time, right? Like, there's no shot that he can defend this tower from you alone, so you'd be, like, creating a lot of pressure by just pressuring the tower.
Yeah, I probably could just run at him, Slowing Hex, press my buttons, you know, put him on tower.
Yeah, he probably just, like, dies straight up, honestly. So this is a time where like you can be aggressive because now it's a 1v1, right? Don't be aggressive when it's a 1v2. When it's a 1v1 and there's things happening elsewhere on the map, be aggressive if it's a favorable matchup. Warden has a lot of favorable 1v1 matchups once you get slowing hex, right? That's kind of what you get it, because it's very hard for people to 1v1 you.
Right. By the way, every game I really go for those vaults. The first time you told me about him, I always I think of you and I try to get him.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to correct someone in YouTube chat that was saying it was a high Oracle game. No, this is a 7-6 average game. This is not a high Oracle game.
Yeah, the Mirage is deathy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from a net worth perspective, you're doing all right. I think this ult is very grief. I think this ult in general is just like, yeah, why do you ult here? Like, I'm not even. Do you want to defend the tower? I guess.
I half-assed it. Yeah, my Warden ults are pretty sus. 50-50.
I'm trying to look here because I see the lash here, and I'm not really sure why you're not like actually just running at him.
I don't see this game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't see any reason why this guy should be allowed to do this against you. Like, I don't think he can do this because like you just run at him, and if he turns on you, like, well, first of all, you just use your flask and your slowing hex and your cage, and he's probably gonna get cage. And if he turns on you, you just ult.
Yeah. Okay. I also could have just killed the wave instead of having to get my tower while I charge this bad ult.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just a bit unfortunate. I think in general, you've been just like way too scared of the slash, and you gotta. Part of deadlock is like, okay, so obviously, there's a few elements to macro, right? One of the macro elements is understanding like when you're outnumbered and when you can't do anything, and the other macro element is understanding like when you can win 1v1s, right? And that depends on itemization, that depends on character matchups, and that's one of the hardest parts of deadlock is like knowing, can I run at this guy? You know?
For sure.
So in this game, and in most games as Warden, I think you have to experiment with this to find out which characters you can't run at. There's not a lot of characters you can't run at as Warden. You can run at most characters in 1v1s.
That little box route was probably not good. I could have got a camp maybe.
I think you're doing fine right now. What I would be focused on, okay, so in this situation, let's look at the macro and let's try to pick your brain a little bit, right? So looking at the mini map right now, like, and the overall state of the game, what do you think? Like, is there anything in particular that you see standing out? That's not a trick question, by the way. I'm not saying there is something, but like, what are your thoughts about like what should your next steps be?
We have the Flexor Guardian, so my Guardian, like the enemy Guardian is not that important. I don't,
Yeah.
Is that our urn or their urn?
That's their urn. So they have the
So
urn
their
right now.
urn, maybe I want to look to fight that, but pushing this Guardian is not that big of a deal. I also see there's a ton of jungle on our side of the map. There's a vault to my left. There's some tier 2s. Like pushing up on my lane is probably not good, but I could jungle or maybe help with the urn fight. Those are the two things I think of.
Okay.
What do you
So
think?
obviously those are options. What I would say is like, okay, so there's never like a right or wrong answer because like we don't have enough info right now because they're all missing, right? But here, what I would recommend that anybody in this situation do is, first of all, always push the wave as far as possible, right? Every time. So in this situation, I would clear this wave and then I would clear the next wave after, right? Minimum.
Okay.
That's like, to me, that's non-negotiable. I would do that. Obviously, a lot of them are missing, but you see they have urn. Chances are they're heading towards that side of the map. Like, it's a little risky, but at the same time, it's a risk that I'm kind of willing to take because if they go for you on the left side of the map, then they shouldn't be able to get their urn, right?
Okay. So this is a key. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say this is a key thing I think is a struggle for me is like, okay, I answered jungle or help the urn, but like I think the better play is to get these waves, and so sometimes I will not get a wave when I should, and sometimes I'll get a wave and go too far and get picked, and so it's hard for me to like make that correct decision.
Okay, that's fair. So here, what I look at, okay, so a lot of the time people over prioritize the first urn, especially in pubs. Like people will tend to like super overreact to it or whatever, right? So I always look to see, hey, is there an opportunity for something that we can get on the left side of the map? And if you can trade a walker for the urn, it's always worth it. Like, I'm not saying that you can in this situation, but my first instinct here would be, we'll see, pay attention to the mini map in the next like 30 to 45 seconds. But what I would guess here is that you clear this wave, and I would like you to go at least one more wave. And then when you do go to that other wave, depending on how they respond, it's possible. Like, I'd probably tell my Shiv, like, hey, maybe Shiv, we might be able to push this walker. Because you're Warden with ult, right? And so you might be able to actually push this left walker with your Shiv 2v1. So if you push this lane here, they'll have to respond to this lane, or it'll create some pressure on the map. And then you can link up with your Shiv if he keeps going. That would be like one possible option here that could work.
Yeah. And if
The
I have my
Guardian
ult and
itself,
I'm with,
it doesn't matter, yeah.
right, and if I'm with my Shiv with ult, and
Yeah.
even 2 come, like you have to deal with a Warden ult and a wave, like we could definitely do
You
damage
can
there.
usually get the walker in those situations. Like side walkers are pretty squishy. One thing is you have a lot of money here, so I'd probably look to buy. Like, I'd probably clear this wave, buy, then clear the next wave. That'd be like a small little thing I'd add, right? Because you've got 2,700 souls. So
Yeah.
here I'd probably buy, like, you know, probably buy something like Fleetfoot, Quicksilver or something, right? Or Swift Striker, Quicksilver, like whatever you like going for.
Yeah, I
or
tend to
you-
go Fleet into Quicksilver, but I might
Yeah.
buy some 500s here. I'm not sure.
That's fair. We'll see. Well, we'll see
I
kind
mean,
of how
like
it plays out.
in this spot, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like you... Okay, so you do go by. I agree with this. I would go like one more wave for sure. I think you're
I think that's
taking...
the scared part.
I think you're taking just like... Okay, so you're going towards the urn, right? So I think going towards the urn here... So right now, if you look at this situation... I think that this is not that bad right now because of how the other team is reacting. But I think overall this is bad macro because like we have 5 people stacked on one side. And it's just like, yeah, our waves are really good, so we can afford to do this for a little bit, but we're on a timer, right? So we'll see how you play this out. But if I'm you, I'm like, okay, I can be here, but maybe for 30 seconds.
Okay. And our left wave is really good right here.
Yeah, our left waves are both really good, so you can stay here. But like the moment that they start dealing with these waves, you're on a timer because then they're threatening your left structures, right? And if they're in a situation where they can threaten your left structures, then they'll be able to get the urn, right? So you don't want to let that happen.
Okay. I meant our left waves are good as like if I were there, I could be hitting objective.
Yeah, you could be hitting objectives. You could be creating pressure. So that's why this play is only good if we get a pick here, right? Like if we get a pick and we manage to like create a lot of pressure, this can be fine. But there's not really like, if they're just careful about it and they don't give us a pick, we don't really get anything out of this. Whereas like if you're going here, like this is good. Someone in chat said, I don't know where Shiv is going. Yeah, this Shiv is a little bit lost too, but that's okay. He's just jungling, right? But this is very common. Like people just jungle, and that's okay. Like we're not here to judge. We're just here to educate. So here, like we show up, right? We make this very obvious. They just run away. We get nothing out of this. And now the left waves are both like pushing back. We actually got nothing. I think
0 pulls per minute right here.
so. Like right now, I'm already like, okay, like the timer is already gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my opinion,
this guy
it's
do?
like, yeah. Yeah, so we get lash ulted. Like, overall, this is just really bad, right? I mean, maybe this works out somehow. I don't remember. No, I don't think it does. You might live, though.
I thought so, too. I remember this.
Oh, no, yeah, it's
wait.
over.
Yep.
Yeah. So, overall, it's just like we went to make a play on the right side. The play is kind of forced. And, like, realistically, just applying pressure on the left side of the map in that situation, like 9 times out of 10 is going to result better, is going to yield in like better results.
Okay.
And now the Shiv is like pushing this walker, right? But if you guys had been applying pressure to the left side the whole time, they wouldn't have been able to take that fight on the right side in the first place.
Right. And the fight did not have happened. Like it was not going anywhere, and then I forced it, and I died, and it was bad.
I don't even think it was you forcing it. I think we got a hook or something. Or I don't remember what happened. But like something happened. Yeah, exactly. Like we shouldn't have like we didn't even get the Wraith ended up dying, but like by this, you know, barely, right? So here we see there's like a big fight happening on the left side. We lose 2 people. So me and Shiv died on the left side. So this to me is a sign like, hey, let's make something happen on the other side of the map. Once again, you see Lash here. You don't really have to be afraid of him. He's farming this. I think he's just gonna barely escape from you. That's okay. So here, don't like overchase. Always go to the wave. If you don't get the catch right away, it's okay. Just go to the wave.
So I probably overstayed a little bit there, right?
Yeah, but like a second, you know. So I don't really.
Okay.
It's not really worth like mentioning or thinking about too much.
Okay.
Okay, so here, this is like another very common example of like reacting instead of like creating pressure. So here, you and Ivy are on the right side. Okay, like our guys can show up to this. I can probably show up to this fight on the left. I would much rather you guys like create pressure on the right side that we all show up to this left fight when all of our waves are bad. Because even if we win this fight, all of our waves are bad. And so overall, this is just going to be a really like bad situation for us.
I see. Because we'd be initiating something instead of just reacting, and like I'll be late to the fight here anyways.
Yeah. Like here you do show up to the fight, but like are you gonna like change like the whole fight? Like maybe you are actually. I mean, you know, it's like a decent ult. But like the thing is, even if we win this fight, like we don't get much out of it. Like we're gonna be able to get the left walker, right? But like at the end of the day, I still think I personally don't love that play. Like I would have kept going on the right side. Like you and Ivy could have pressured that walker, and then we probably still would have won that fight realistically. Maybe not, but like I think there was enough people that could show. Now, however, this is still not bad. Like we're applying a lot of pressure on the left side. You pushing this walker, I really like.
I think I get it here.
Yeah, I mean this is even if you die for this, it's 100% worth. So we'll see if you die. Maybe, maybe not. It looks like you're dead, but it's worth. But maybe not.
I'm dead, man.
Yeah, you're dead as hell.
Wait, and left?
Worth though. Very worth.
That movement.
Fast forward a little bit.
Right now, 12k at 15.
I think your farm is like okay. I'm not too worried about the farm itself. Like you could have been richer, but like it's not really that important at this point in the game. It's more so just like the map movements that you make. So going here, I think is like totally fine. Like we want to defend this walker. We don't want to give it to them. They're definitely overextended here. So I think this is like a great reaction from you.
That was lateral.
Yeah, that guy just lash ulted nothing. Here we have really good pressure. Like overall, like where you went there was great, and now you have 3k. So what I would look to do if I were you is I would look to buy right now, right? That's like an important thing. You want to hit your power spike because there might be another engagement. I think stealing this is also like great. I don't know why you don't just finish stealing it though. Like most of the souls there is in that box. It's in that center sacrifice. It gives way more souls than the actual minions.
Right.
So you should just like finish it.
Okay.
Yeah, but like once again, this is a little bit forced. Like I mean, the fact like you could be here anyway, right? If you just stole the center sacrifice, you would have made it here anyway. You know what I mean? Because you ran around a bunch anyway. So. And
I think this game had. Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like you definitely want to like steal that, and then you want to go buy ideally before this engage, and then you have an entire 3k like extra if you do that.
Yeah, and 3k gun item on Warden is huge.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Like you can get like intensify, you can get burst fire, you can get so many different items that just like change. I would say specifically in this situation, I don't love the bullet armor, but we can talk about it in a little bit. It's okay though.
What am I doing? Gee.
It's fine. I mean, you're posturing for mid boss here. Like they're threatening mid boss. I think it's okay. The biggest problem here is you're like really hurt. I would be playing a little bit further back and like healing riding maybe, but okay. So he goes in. I mean, you can still do a ton of damage. I think your positioning is actually pretty good this fight. Like at the beginning it was a little weird, but after that I think the way you positioned, you didn't like overcommit, you didn't overchase. I think that was like pretty decent.
Thanks. This is definitely not how I normally play Warden. I was playing scared this game.
Yeah. I think it's not, you know, it can be fairly like a little bit intimidating, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. But yeah, the bullet armor, the reason I don't like it here is like, well, I would have preferred you buy something like bullet lifesteal, for example. It's not that bullet armor is bad per se, but like I'm thinking, okay, what's your issue right now? And I'm thinking, okay, well, sustain might be a little bit of an issue, right? You don't have really any spirit, so heroic aura would have been a good buy as well if you wanted instead of intensifying, but since you don't have heroic, I'd be heavily considering. Oh, this is just. Oh, this is tragic.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was just positioning and like awareness. Like you said, it's one of your weak points a little bit. So here, like you just come out in the open, like there's clearly like a fight or like there's a haze above you. Like we hear her shooting.
How I throw games right here.
Yeah, so like if instead of just coming out here, you like just went out here, I guess kind of like I did, chances are be a whole different story, right? So if we watch it from a third person perspective, here we see there's a fight, and you're kind of like super isolated from the fight, and you just die instantly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a throw.
But that happens.
Yeah, but that's what I'm really trying to work on.
Yeah, for sure. I think in general, you just got to be like a little bit like more like aware of where the fight is happening, like really look at your minimap and just be like, okay, like where's the fight happening? And a lot of the time, if you don't know whether, like, if you're not Thanos, meaning like you're not super farmed yourself, just try to focus on peeling for your backline first. I think that tends to be safer, especially in pubs, because like that is the one thing that you can expect like coordination about, right? Is like people will peel for their backline, kind of. And so I think a lot of the time you're going to be better off like doing that.
That ult, I didn't realize we'd kill the walkers so fast. I tend to ult to get walkers.
I think there's really no... Okay, so ulting to get walker is good, but not in that situation because we're up so much. The walker is guaranteed dead, right? We're up like 30k. There's no chance that they can... no chance that they can defend the walker.
Right.
And so, like, I would never ult in that situation. It's not at the end of the world because you're like gun warden, but your ult is still like decently valuable, right? It's still like a... Here, if I remember, we're like... Here, I remember we're like, oh, we can probably end or whatever because we're up like 30k. And I do think that we probably can. So I'm curious to see like how this fight goes or whatever because I do feel like we should be able to end here. Like, we're up so much that this shouldn't really be an issue. Or we called it back? I don't remember. I think we're like end. It does look a little weird.
Patron's down, right? Why is it showing us not?
Oh no. Oh yeah, we all got black hole. Oh yeah. If you were just like when the black hole went down, you kind of walked into it as the unfortunate part. You were out of it. I think you actually could have ended the game by yourself here.
Really?
Yeah,
I normally stand above the pit.
But you can't hit it if you're above the pit though.
Right, but like I normally stand above the pit and look to do damage to people.
Because like if you're here, like you're outside of the black hole at first and you kind of walk into it just a little bit.
Oh, no.
The black hole is like huge though, to be fair, but regardless.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, I think we all got black hole there as like a huge, and then they dome us and then they turn it.
At least we were together. Just kidding. Yeah, I definitely.
We all died together.
No,
that's
yeah,
okay. I mean, honestly, like all of us are to blame there. It's not just like a one-person thing. It's like we got caught in like a 3 or 4 man hole that should not really happen. We should have been able to end. I'm sure other people didn't shoot the patron. I mean, let's check average Jonas real quick. Did he shoot the patron? Let's see. I'm gonna DM him if he didn't. I'm gonna be very angry. He could also interrupted the black hole. I'm pretty sure. Okay, we're just getting hard baited. One sec, let me see. Okay, bro's got stone form and he's just hard baiting us. Hello? Okay, it's all good, it's all good. That's fine,
Stone form. Nope, maybe next game.
Yeah. And realistically, Jonas, if you ever watch this clip, just stand on the high ground there. And like, if they go for a black hole, you can cancel it every time. But it's all good.
Catching straight.
We're not, you know. It's okay.
Okay, so this is my last death. I don't die after this, for sure.
Yeah. But we'll still see, like, I think we still try to end the game. I think we're, like, forcing it because we're like, oh, yeah, you know. But, like, in theory, like, they don't have black hole anymore. Like, we should be able to force. We get a lash pick here. Wait, how do we not end here? I don't understand how we don't end here. We have 2 picks. There's no way we don't end here. You have ult, we have 2 picks. Surely...
No ult, no last ult.
Surely you just ult right now. Surely you just ult right now and you just shoot the patron. Okay, this is actually a big mistake. Just ult shoot the patron. There's like actually nothing they can do. Yeah, if you just ult shoot the patron, like you win the game, by the way.
Okay.
And like Salty could have gone in there with you. They have to shoot you, by the way. So the best defense that you can do there is ult shoot the patron because they have to go on you and we win the game.
Okay. Instead I just ran around and did like 200 damage and ran away.
Yeah. Because like Warden does a lot of damage to buildings, right? Especially with ult or whatever. Also, you probably shouldn't have bought like Hunter's Aura. I think that's what you bought recently or whatever. Like if I'm assuming you bought this when you died, right?
But yeah.
Let me just go back a little bit just to see. Yeah. So you bought this here. Okay, so if we're in this situation, right? We're up 20k. Their patron is down and it's half health. It's pretty much just like, okay, can we just go kill it? And so the only items that make sense are items that do damage to the patron. So you should just go all chemical fire here every time.
Really? Okay.
There's no reason not to go all chemical fire because it guarantees we can win the game instantly. Like what other item guarantees that? There's no other item that guarantees that.
I gotta be
honest. You go
honest,
chemical fire, you ult, you just win the game.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't think that's been Sharik's build, and that's why I didn't get it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah. Someone said burst fire. Well, burst fire doesn't proc on structures, but even then, all chemical fire will give you more damage. Yeah, it's really, the mistake is really here, like, while I'm getting ulted, right? Imagine the whole time if you're just shooting the patron, like, they have to make the decision of, like, oh shit, like, what are we gonna do? I think here I'm just, like, trying to get into the pit to end. I will say, I'm not gonna lie, like, here, like, Salty could have also, like, if we have 2 people in the pit shooting this, the game's over, I think. They do have dome, though. They do have dome, so they could stop it with that. That could maybe delay it, but I think overall we still come out on top because we have 2 picks. But regardless, maybe
And
the
they don't
game's
have
not,
their
like,
2 big team fighting ults.
yeah, maybe the game's not like fully over, but I think that's still like the best scenario. At least you force out dome.
But yeah, if I go right on you, pop ult, do damage, get in pit, like they have to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't deal with it, like it's basically offense is the best form of defense in that situation, right? If they're ulting me instead of shooting them, you should just shoot the patron.
Right.
But we'll kind of see how this plays out.
So something I've been working on is like, okay, we're up, and I've heard you
Yeah.
say this before, like take their jungle. Like
Yeah,
we play on this side of the map and then work your way back.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think what you're doing right now is perfect. Like, now our window to end the game has kind of like passed, right? Now they're like, they're all up, they've got lash ult, etc. We can't really just end the game anymore. And so I think realistically, it's just about making our lead as big as possible, so that when the time does come to end the game, that we're ready for it. So I think what you're doing here, just like farming their side, clearing the waves, making sure our waves are good. It's pretty much like exactly what you should be doing, so I don't have an issue with any of this.
So from this game state, how do we win from here? Do we wait for mid? Do we get
Right.
picks?
Yeah, generally I would say that the safe, okay, so the safe play is pretty much wait for mid.
Yeah.
Like you can take a fight, but like it can be risky, and if they win a fight and mid spawns, and then you've lost the game pretty much. Like you haven't lost the game, but like it makes it very, very real to come back for them. So here I would just say, okay, let's finish clearing our side of the jungle. At that point, we should have like nearly a 40k lead, right? Realistically, there's no point. There's no real like way we lose a fight. Then we should play on their side of the map, not let them out of their base. Like make sure all of our waves are pushed all the time, and just wait for mid. And the moment mid spawns, we insta kill it. If they like, we basically force them to come to mid, right? If they don't contest mid, we get mid boss. We just run into their base, go for like a fight. And if they do come contest mid, we just kill them at mid. And we win the game either way, basically.
Right.
The only way we don't win is if they steal mid somehow.
Okay. Like use our advantage, keep the advantage, and push it.
Yeah. Mid boss is like the best way to end the game. And the most often leads are thrown by trying to end without like if this was a tournament, for example, the team would always wait for mid boss, pretty much. Unless they got like a pick. If they got a pick, they could threaten to end. So here, like, for example, okay, Jonas gets picked. It's like, oh.
I'm just catching strays. Is the reason for waiting for mid, is that mostly like if the fight goes bad, you have your respawn timers?
Yeah, it's 2 things. It's one, if the fight goes bad, you respawn, but also you have the super troopers, which like make it so every wave is pushed, and so like it's gonna be like really easy to end because all of your waves are gonna be good. But yeah, it's mostly for the fact that the respawn timers, because like if you just trade, let's say you trade like 3 for 3, it's still super favorable for you because you have way faster respawns.
Okay. Do you mind checking my build here? I think I got heroic aura.
Yeah, I think the items you got here are fine. I would say that I would consider in this game specifically, I probably would have went unstoppable if I had 6k. The main reason for that would be that I'm looking at how we lose, and how we lose if we just get black holed or lash ulted or whatever. And so I probably would have just went unstoppable instead of like these items. But like I probably wouldn't have went fortitude, and I wouldn't have went pristine maybe, or heroic aura. I probably would have skipped fortitude and pristine and just went unstoppable instead of those 2.
Yeah, so that's an example of like, I find a build I like, I buy the things and not really think too hard about
like
it.
they're all really good items, but the thing is, when you're this late into the game, you should be itemizing to counter like how they win, right? You have to think like, how do they win a fight? And the way that they win a fight is like, okay, they get a big lash ult or like a big dynamo ult, because we're up so much. Well, now we're not up that much anymore because we keep like getting picked, but it's not really your fault.
Yeah. Our waves are good.
Yeah. Like everything is good here. Like most of our waves are good. Like the urn is like not really good for us, but we should probably look to pick up the urn here, because the problem is like if they pick up the urn and then it's on their side of the map, which I'm assuming they're gonna do soon. Like this is kind of a mistake for us, right? Like you could also be doing this. Like you have so much movement speed as Warden. Right now I'd be heading to the outer lane instead of like being in the middle and like clearing that. Like I think you're stacking up a little bit too much.
Because if I grab Urn, we could posture for it, and in worst case, I just drop it, we fight, and we're up
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. I think anyone could grab Urn. Like I could grab it here too. I think I'm like kind of afraid because I don't see anyone. But I like realistically like we should look to grab this Urn and not give it to them. Our Bebop gets gone and we're actually like just getting picked one by one pretty much. I like the fact that you don't commit with this ult. I think it's okay. Like you tried to ult, see if there was an opportunity. There was no opportunity, so you don't commit. That's
So
fine.
that's not a terrible ult. That's not like a throw.
It's not like a throw, no. I mean, I probably wouldn't have ulted, but like it's, you know, I understand what happened, basically.
Yeah. All right.
I would say stop throwing out your cage so like willy-nilly. Especially like it's a pretty long cooldown, right? So you want to like try to use it on like a position where you're pretty confident. Either it's going to cause someone a lot of trouble or you're confident you're going to land it. In that situation, the lash in the air, it's just like there's not really like, you know, it doesn't really do anything, right?
It's not gonna proc, yeah. And it's like a 40
I mean, there's no way. First of all, yeah, it's a 40-second cooldown. First of all, the lash is gonna get out every single time, right? Because he's lash. And second of all, like it doesn't really cause him a lot of trouble. Like it's not annoying for the lash. He's just like, oh, I'm getting caged. Let me just get out.
Right.
So we do end up winning this fight, but you pretty much like you didn't really have any impact, which is okay in this fight. Like you don't need to have impact every fight. Let me see what you could have done better in this one. I think your positioning was just a little weird.
Yeah, sometimes I get like lost. I'm like, I go the wrong way and I'm behind.
Yeah, so like here, for example, I think in general, like if there's a fight in this position, you know, it's just a mini-map thing, but I would say that here you should be like more on the high ground, like here in this position, right? And kind of seeing like, you should be more like on the bridge area. So instead of like walking up towards there, I would have been more on the bridge area. And then once I see the fight is happening over here, I would look to consolidate, right? So it's a small difference, but since you walked up, it meant that you had to walk back and then you lost half your health walking back, right?
Yeah.
So since
And
you
all
lost
the
half your health,
downtime.
yeah, exactly, all the downtime, and now this part of the fight's already over.
I
You do, like,
finally
show up
get
for
here.
the
I'm
lash.
ready.
Yeah.
I'm helping.
And then the game is pretty much over at this point, yeah.
Yeah. We got
It's okay.
4. It's ogre.
Yeah. I think overall, like you played like pretty decent in this match. I think that a lot of the biggest mistakes that I see is like just kind of stacking a little bit too much. Like you have a tendency to like group and show up to a lot of things when you could create your own plays more.
Yeah.
And maybe you do that in like the lower ranked games or whatever. But in this one, like
I do.
yeah. In this one, you were definitely just like way too grouped. Like you showed up to a couple fights when you could have went for your own plays. I would say your ult usage, for the most part, was not very good.
Yeah.
Wait, I get to rate the match again? 5 stars.
That's funny. Oh wait, and you could commend people. Can I get a commend,
yeah.
coach?
Yeah, let me commend everyone. Imagine they'll get like a notification like years later.
It happens. Yeah, you can. Yeah, my ult usage is definitely not. It's one of my
So
bad
on Gun Warden, think about ult like it's more of a get out of jail card. Like it's okay, you don't want to start. Sometimes you can start the fight with ult, but a lot of the time, you want to like use the ult as like a turnaround tool. So like for example, you can go around like you're getting chased a little bit, the situation's a little dire, go around a corner, ult, turn it, right? Because it makes people really afraid of you, and 2, it gives you like a decent source of like healing.
Yeah, and when you max it, I didn't max it here, but the resist late game is nice.
Yeah, the resist is only while you're channeling it. Just FYI.
When you have the 5 points in there?
Yeah.
Oh no, I should read more.
It says while channeling last night, you have greatly increased bullet resist and spirit resist. I know that it's unclear because it says +50, right? So you might think it's permanent, but it's only when you're channeling it.
It makes me feel so strong. Okay, good enough.
So it doesn't give you any resist after you're done channeling.
Are you sure? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, so you know, I like maxing it personally. Like recently, even on Gun Warden, I've been going a build where I tend to max ult first anyway, just because like the 2.5 seconds and the extra resist during channel really make it like a turnaround tool, right? So you can just make it so like it can be like a get off me tool, right? So like let's say that they use, I don't know, let's say they lash ult you. It's incredibly powerful because as long as they don't have stun on the lash ult, which in this case he did, but let's say early game when he doesn't have stun, The moment that you land, you can just channel your ult, and then you have 80% resist of like bullet and spirit. So you're just like kind of unkillable for that duration. And so that I really like that part. But I think maxing Flask, okay, so in my opinion, maxing Flask for this game is actually pretty good because they have a lot of like left click heavy characters like Wraith and Haze. I think in general, one of your weaknesses on Warden is like the way you pilot fights. Warden is like, he's a cop, right? He needs to put like these criminals in jail, and you need to make like some people feel like they can't play. And a lot of the time, Warden's really great at like making left clickers feel like they can't play the game. And I think that you're focusing a little bit too much on like shooting the really fat targets when a lot of the time your value from the fight is going to come from shutting down the Haze or shutting down the Wraith, which I don't really think you did like a single time in this game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like if I'm Haze or Wraith and I'm against a Warden running at me, that sucks. Like that's tough.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you can't do anything. Well, it's not you can't do anything. You can do some things, right? But let's say that you get slowing hex, Flask, caged, then it's like, oh, you know, that's tough, right? The biggest thing, so like Wraith does have like her ult, which makes it so, ooh, you know, like you're getting kind of owned. But like Haze doesn't have anything, right? And if you had gone like unstoppable later on, then you could have just been able to run at the Wraith and not care about her ult because she ults you, you pop unstoppable, you just keep running at her. So
Right. So Unstoppable, I definitely need to buy it more. But what are like the main heroes you look for where it's like this is an unstoppable game? By the way, I'm listening. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. I would say as far as unstoppable goes, it's really all about like big CC that like prevents you from playing the game. So for me, like if I look at the cast of heroes, like I'll see, okay, so Dynamo's a little weird one because technically Unstoppable does allow you to counter his ultimate, but you can't really react to it a lot of the time. So I don't really necessarily buy Unstoppable against Dynamo. It can be nice, however, to just have it and just like run at him in his ult. Even if you're not caught in it, you can like get close and do a lot of damage to him. So sometimes Dynamo, but usually not necessarily. I would say Infernus, you can definitely consider Unstoppable because of like his AoE like ult. Lash, you can definitely consider unstoppable because of his ultimate. Mo and Krill, if you're getting grabbed in fights a lot, definitely like great to consider unstoppable. Wraith ult can be good to consider unstoppable. There's like a couple things.
If you have time, like if Wraith ults you have time to pop it.
Yeah.
Usually.
A lot of these things you can react, right? So like a Mo running at you, I mean, if he has Phantom Strike, it's going to be hard, but like, let's say that you can also pop it preemptively, right? You know, like if you pop unstoppable, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're having issues casting your ultimate as Warden because whenever you cast it, the Mo comes to grab you. Pop unstoppable, cast your ultimate, right?
Right.
So it can just, like, before we had, like, a small period of time where Warden had unstoppable in his max upgrade, and that was kind of broken. But yeah, like, so unstoppable is not, like, an every game thing, and it got nerfed recently where it doesn't block anti-heal before, which was one of the reasons it was bought on Warden so frequently as well, because, like, since before it nullified anti-heal, so your ult would just heal you for so much because you wouldn't get anti-healed at all, so you would just pop unstoppable and you just like get healed, you know, for a ton. So let's get some action items because I don't think we have time to watch like another full game, but a couple things for you to work on. So one is identify like we'll go in like laning stage. Let me just pull this up on stream so we can have a visual thing. Okay, so one is laning stage. Okay, so one is identify when you are in an advantage state versus when you are not, and play accordingly.
Like the last, I could have dunked on the last.
Yeah, this might be a little bit vague, but this represents a couple things that happen in that game. First thing that represents is when you have wave prio versus when you don't. When you have wave prio, you can play aggressive, look for harass. When you don't have wave prio, you should be playing passive, much further back, and not getting like, you should basically not really be poking out, right? Like if they have 4 troopers and you have 0, there is no reason for you to be out in the open. You should be solely focusing on the troopers and not trying to harass them at all, usually.
Okay.
It also represents another stage of the laning stage where you were in a 2 versus 1 situation against the Lash, and you guys didn't press your advantage against them, right? You should have recognized it's 2v1. Instead of going to go boxes, you know, gotta go for the kill or go for the pressure, right? The tower damage, something. And the third situation is when you're in a 1v1, recognize, do you win this 1v1 or not? So, you know, if you do, then you should run at him. If you don't, then, well, you know, if you don't win the 1v1, ideally what you want to do, like, let's say that you're the Lash, right? And instead of being the Warden, let's say you're playing the Lash. In that situation, you're like, okay, I don't win the 1v1. What I would do if I was the Lash is I would just clear the wave as fast as possible and go farm the jungle. Because I'm like, I can't win this 1v1. Or look for a gank. But since you are the Warden, you should clear the wave and not let the Lash farm. So you should, like, put the pressure on him, right?
Okay. And there's plenty of times where I'm just like sitting in lane waiting for the next wave. I could be push the wave to go back farm.
Yeah. In general, be more efficient. Like, if the wave, if the lane is a stalemate, just like push wave ASAP and farm by farming items if doing so. Example of farming items are Cold Front, Quicksilver Reload.
Oh, do you mind
Monster
putting an
rounds.
example of like, don't get flowing hex if you're in that situation? Like, don't get it just cause. Like,
don't buy Slowing Hex if you're just farming. You know, don't buy it early, right? Like, you can buy Quicksilver first, for example, and then get Slowing Hex after, right? Because, like, Quicksilver is still, like, an aggressive item. It still allows you to go for kills. It just, like, makes your farming much better, right? So when you have Quicksilver and Slowing Hex, then you're, like, very scary, right? But Quicksilver also allows you to farm, so it's like, maybe you can still harass the Lash. Before having Slowing Hex, you could still, like, shoot him. But you would also just be able to farm much better if you had something like Quicksilver Reload. Like, that's personally what I would have went in that situation.
Okay.
So I'd say those are those are the two main priorities. Like, other than that, I mean, there's a lot in that one point, like identify when you're in advantage state, but always think like, okay, advantage state can be a couple things, right? It could be, do I have more souls? Do I have like, do I have more souls? Do I have a good matchup? Am I 2v1? Blah, blah, right?
on a Warden, who should I be afraid of? Like, don't try to 1v1 them.
There's really not a lot of people.
Hey.
Vindicta can kind of be an issue sometimes because sometimes you can't do anything to her in the sky. Yamato, if she has ult, obviously you can force her ult, but then you have to run away. Wraith, you can force her ult, but then you have to run away. Infernus can be kind of a problem too, depending, and Lady Guys too sometimes. But basically,
I hate Infernus as Warden.
If you cage them, like, anyone dies pretty much, so it really depends. So a lot of the time it's all about just knowing which one of their abilities are scary and then just like running away when they use them. So for Infernus, it's like it's this flame dash, right? Once he uses flame dash, especially early game, like, you're good. It's a fairly long cooldown before he gets charges and everything, right? So it's like a 40-second cooldown. So if you force his flame dash out just to run away, then you're like pretty chill for a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't like
do you mind adding a note about the cage usage? Because I just kind of like press it. I just kind of like.
Yeah, that's more in like the mid to late game. I think early on it's whatever. Like, early on you can spam that shit. Honestly, early on it doesn't matter as much. It's like later on in fights it's a long cooldown, right? So if you're in a team fight, you only really get one use of it, maybe two uses. Right? So
on a Warden with your build, my favorite thing is to come off a zip boosted, go in like flash flowing hex, knock down cage. There, it's ogre.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Okay, so in the mid game, I would say like create your own opportunities, particularly in the side lanes. So what I mean by that is, I think like Warden is like an excellent 1v1er. So not every hero in the game is like good at 1v1. Like, for example, Lash doesn't win a lot of 1v1s, right? Like, he doesn't really have the tools for that. He's got to play with his team. He's more of a setup character. But Warden can solo kill a lot of players. And so if you're in the side lanes, a lot of the time in the side lanes there's less people because they're further away from the center of the map. And a lot of the time there's opportunities for 1v1s, right? So I want to see you pushing those waves like more aggressively. That's another thing. Like, push waves more aggressively. Like, try to be greedy. Like, can you go one more wave like further? Can you go one wave further? And so like I'll always think one wave ahead.
Okay. There was that moment where I went back to TP to left lane to go help the fight. I was late. I could have been pushing up right side, getting on their walker.
Yeah, and also You could have also just pushed the right side and taken the side TP and made it to the fight just the same, by the way.
Ooh.
Even if you wanted to go to the fight, that play still would have been better because the wave would have been more pushed. And at that point, you can consider, okay, should I go to the side? Like, should I go to the side TP? Does the fight still look good? And that would be like better because you've already pushed the wave like really hard.
Okay.
So yeah, like Warden's a really good 1v1er. When you have slowing hexes, whatever, like when you're in the side lanes, I would say master the art of baiting waves. So push waves, right? And then just be like, okay, I'm just gonna hide now. and just hide around a corner. And a lot of the time, if you watch my stream regularly, like you'll see, like I'm just gonna be like, this guy's gonna go for this wave. I know it's too juicy. It's too juicy. He has to go for it. And then they always go for it. They always go for it. And then you just sprint out with fleet foot and like your shield and at the speed of light, slowing hex, flask, cage, and that's when Warden feels incredible to play.
I die to that all the time, man. I think, ooh, look
Yeah.
at this juicer wave.
Exactly. And you don't like respect it because Warden can just like delete you sometimes. So start doing that yourself. Like that's why the side lanes are your friend, because that's the easiest place to make that happen because there's so many hiding spots, so many veils, so many things, right?
I go
So just,
Sheila
like-
mode, like Spider from Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings.
exactly. You go fucking sneaky. And like don't feel forced to show up to fights if they're far away. In the mid game, it's almost always worth to get walkers even if your team loses the fight because you're not there. So I'm not saying you should never show up to fights. You should show up to fights you want to show up to and feel good and are good for you. So if you just hit a power spike, if you blah blah right? Let's say you just bought a 3K, you feel strong, you want to fight, that's one thing. But if you feel like, oh, this fight, like, oh, my team's fighting, do I have to show up or whatever? If there's an opportunity for you to push a walker, you should usually take that opportunity because if your team loses the fight, but you get a walker in exchange, it's really not that bad in the mid game.
Right. Where there's been plenty of times I show up to a fight late, I press all my buttons, I die just like my team did, and then I've got nothing.
Yeah, you get nothing. So it's like, it's a bit of a gamble. Pushing a walker is sure value if you're confident you can get it or get like, you know, or get a lot of damage on it. Sometimes even if you can't get it, if you get 75% of its health, well, now it's just a matter of time before it crumbles, right?
Yeah.
Those, I think, are the main points for the mid game. And then late game, I always say it's very little macro. Like there is some macro, like I said, like you get mid boss, you know, play on their side of the map, whatever. But like the macro late game is pretty simple. It's very team fight oriented. So my points are usually around execution. So first thing would be like, be careful about your cage usage. Try to identify the most problematic person on their team and target them with your abilities to make them unable to play the game. Now, I'm not saying you run it down through their entire team to just cage the one person, right?
Why not? I was kidding.
But you know, like within the realm of possibility, you should be on the lookout for like, hey, I'm just gonna delete this one person.
Yeah.
If possible. Like you want to be looking for it at least. If the situation doesn't end up calling for it, then it's okay. But if you're like in your mind, okay, before the fight, I want to focus Wraith. Well, the moment you see Wraith, you know, like, okay, go if there's an opportunity, right? You're not going to hesitate. You're already going to know. So try to have a little bit of a game plan about who you want to use Cage on. Like, don't just use Cage right away.
Okay.
Make sure, like, it's going to be at least very annoying and ideally very effective, right? Ideally you want it to land, but if it doesn't land, you want it to be like, oh shit, you know, that person had to use debuff remover, or they had to use unstoppable, or they had to position accordingly, or something like that, right?
Like Wraith TP, yeah. And I remember you saying like, be the cop, like shut down the Haze and the Wraith.
Yeah.
Like if a Haze or a Wraith gets caged, they have to get out or they're dead.
Yeah, exactly. They're squishy characters, right? They do a lot of damage, but they're squishy. Like Warden is very Warden's a brawler, right? You can get in their face a lot of the time. You have your ultimate. You have a lot of tools to kind of deal with them. So, you know, try to abuse those tools. And especially with your flask, right? Your flask is really, really good at shutting down those characters because it reduces their damage and their attack speed like really significantly when you have it maxed. It reduces their attack speed by 35% at max, and it also like reduces their weapon damage by 30%, which is very significant. So it's better.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's better than inhibitor. It's literally better than inhibitor in every way.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just a better 6,000 cost item.
That's crazy.
So it's like it's insane value, and so you just got to be like your flask is not to be underestimated in the late game, especially if you top it off and you go something like suppressor on top of it. Then you're getting like a shit ton of fire rate slow. Especially you had Hunter Zora too, right? Like you've so much fire rate slow in a 1v1.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, the way I thought of Flask was about stealing stamina and slowing them down, but the denying weapon damage is huge. I should focus like carries more. Like
yeah. So like the flask combo with obviously the cage and the slowing hex is really important. But late game, your flask is like nothing cooldown. Like it has no cooldown. It's like 6 seconds. You can spam that shit. And if you have any cooldown reduction, it's like less than that even. So yeah, you gotta use it on carries as much as possible. So that's one thing. Positioning wise, like try to like remain in a more like high vision area. A lot of the time you are on low ground. Like I noticed this quite a lot with you, that you're on low ground very often before committing to a fight. Like you tend to be on the low ground and then the fight happens and you're a little bit lost. And I think part of that is because your vision, like it's hard to make decisions. Like if I put myself in your perspective, it's hard to make the decisions because I don't see the people. I don't have the info.
Right. Like I remember that mid-boss fight when they Kelvin domed and Dynamo ulted like top mid on their bridge. And I was like under the bridge to the left. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
So try to just prioritize high ground a little bit more until you commit to the fights, right? So just until you get in there. And then what was the other thing I was gonna say? Yeah, I was gonna say itemization wise, like late game, the focus is itemizing against what can counter you. Usually, especially if you have a lead.
Like unstoppable.
Yeah, so for example, in this game, like
or
in this game, yeah,
that's similar.
Outfire is more to end the game, like
yeah.
But usually, like, so that's a very specific example because like the patron was down and you were in a very specific scenario. But regardless, like generally speaking, late game, if you have a lead, you're itemizing against what can throw your lead, right? Because you don't want to throw your lead, so you're like, okay, like what's the worst case scenario? So always think of the worst case scenario. In this case, in this game, the worst case scenario is big lash or dynamo ult. Therefore, I would have went unstoppable. In other games, it's maybe that Haze deletes you in 1 second, or it may be just lash ult, in which case I would go E-shift or metal skin.
Okay.
These are defensive layers that are not bought often enough. Like E-shift and metal skin are both like solve a lot of issues that characters can have.
Those items are crazy. One thing, so I don't understand when to get bullet and spirit armor and when to get the improved version. Like I just don't understand when.
Yeah. I'd say the timing is kind of hard. It's usually like when you fix your core issues. So when you don't feel like when your core issue becomes like, oh, I'm just dying, a lot of the time that's when you want to get the improved versions. So like when you're just like, I'm just taking a little bit too much damage, right? I just feel like I'm getting poked down like really quickly, right? I just feel like I'm taking a lot of poke. It's like, okay, I need the armors. But if you're getting bursted down instantly, that's usually a good call for either E-shift or metal skin. But if you're just taking a lot of consistent damage, you're like, man, I just feel like I die so fast in these fights. Like, but I'm not like getting ultra bursted. That's usually a good call for the improved armors. And as far as like the regular armors, generally the regular armors you can get, I would say around the 15 to 20 minute mark, you should be looking to get the regular armors, depending on the game.
Okay.
At least the regular armor of the type of damage that's most problematic to you at the time.
I remember like the first or second time we did the coaching thing, I was on Haze and I bought like 2 defensively, and you were like, well, you should prioritize more like being offense, like burst fire and stuff like that. So I feel like running your build, I feel like is a good mix, but running Tariq's build, I feel like I'm too squishy, not getting enough defenses.
Yeah, I think well, so the defenses usually come later on, and usually Europeans are very good in their builds at buying like those situational active items. Like if I look at Tariq's build, they're really good at like buying those E-shifts, those metal skins whenever they need them. So that's why a lot of the time their builds might feel squishy if you don't buy them. He just doesn't have it in his build, but I'm sure he buys them. Like it's items that he doesn't put in his build because it's like a very like quote unquote basic build. But like I'm sure that he buys them when he needs them.
Right. So like looking at this,
he definitely doesn't go these items in this order every single game. I can promise you that.
Me neither. Kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to work on that. Yeah, for sure.
He just put them in an order that like made sense to him, and I promise you, like if you ever like catch him like playing this build, he'll just like be buying things in whatever order feels good to him.
And things not on here, right?
Yeah, and like he might like, you know, if I were you, I would like add some conditionals like E shift or metal skin or things like that. He does have unstoppable on there. I think he's got most items that realistically you're gonna buy in most games, right? Like frenzy and crippling are definitely like considerations. Inhibitors another consideration. And so I think most of these items like make a lot of sense, but like there's certain games, for example, where you would get toxic bullets. He doesn't have that in there, right?
Okay.
So like sometimes instead of intensifying mag, if you're playing against like, I don't know, like Shiv or Abrams or whatever, you might actually need toxic bullets.
Right. And I remember that game we just watched. I went heroic, aura, and pristine, I think, and you said
Yeah.
that was not the right play. And I'm sorry, I
I
forget
think
why.
it was fine. It's just that I wanted you to buy I would have preferred you buy unstoppable.
Unstoppable. That's
Yeah,
right. That's
it.
right.
But the items that you bought were fine. Like there was nothing wrong with
Okay.
them. It's just that you probably
be
need an
better.
unstoppable. You needed an
Yeah, yeah.
unstoppable that game. So that was really the main issue. I think that's pretty much like the main things. Like I think if you work on that, like I said, your mechanics are good. Like I didn't see a single time that game where it was like, oh, you know, you just got in a situation but you just like missed all your shots, or your movement was terrible. Like your movement could use like some improving, but like it's not what's keeping you at Phantom. Like it's really not. And so like just work on these things. Like I think realistically, like the late game, a lot of these things just come from playing the game a lot, right? I think late game coaching, like we would need to do like an entire session dedicated to like team fights or whatever for it to have like a significant impact. I think a lot of this just comes from playing, and like once you get to a level where like that's really what's holding you back, we can dive into that. But right now I think focusing on the laning stage and the mid game points, so like advantage state versus not, so when you should be pushing versus when you should not be, and also like being efficient and farming, and in the mid game just like really like being that person that creates their own opportunities. Like for the next 10 games, I want you to only show up to fights if it's like a hell yeah. Don't show up to a fight if it's like, oh, maybe it's a good fight. Just only if it's a hell yeah.
Please put that in the notes.
Yeah.
That would be huge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be like, for me, that's like a super priority.
And what I've noticed in my games, when I'm on Warden and I get really far ahead, I'm the Terminator. And when I get behind, I act like I'm the Terminator and I get dunked on and feed.
You just get owned, yeah. That's fair. So the thing is, so for the next 10 games, it's just like what I want you to focus on is just like, you know, you have to want to show up to that fight. If it's not like, if you don't see that fight and you're like, ooh, I'm going to just kill everyone, right? Or it's going to be such a good fight. If you're not thinking that, don't show up to that fight and look for counterplay.
Okay. I just tell my team, nah, it's not a hell yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. You just calm down to your team. Sorry guys, this fight's not really a hell yeah, so I'm not really gonna show up to this one. Sorry guys. Deathy told me.
Oh yeah, Deathy told me. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Can't go wrong.
So
you're gonna make some mistakes doing that, but it's gonna teach you a lot about like, you know, there's gonna be a lot of times where you don't show up to a fight, you get a walker, and it's like at the end of the day, oh well, that was actually like fine for your team. Like maybe your team either won the fight or they lost the fight, but they didn't get anything out of it. Like you got a walker, so like overall they won the fight, but they're not actually ahead. You guys are getting closer to your flex slot, but they didn't get anything, for example. So yeah,
like players come back, but walkers don't.
Yeah, exactly. All right, any questions, closing thoughts?
Just thank you so much. Like, just plug in Deathy's coaching. Like this is like my 3rd time, but it's always super helpful. And especially like I come from a lot of FPS background, but like not MOBA. And yeah, every time we do this, it's just like so helpful. And I really appreciate your time. And you never make me feel bad. Like I can see things where I think like I'm an idiot, I suck, but you never make me feel like that. I really appreciate
Well, you know, nobody's an idiot or sucks or whatever. Like not everybody has the time to play the game as much as me or whatever. Not everybody has the time or luxury to play the game as much as I do. So it's just like I think that everybody has it in them. Everybody has the potential. It's all about like the hard work and whatever. So I never like, you know, making mistakes is human.
Okay, and then the last thing is, so like my most play time in order is like Haze, Infernus, Warden.
Yeah.
But Warden is by far my best character.
Yeah.
When I like my Infernus win rate, I try, man, but I'm like 50%, 51%. Haze like 55%. My Warden's at like 60%. So like, if I'm a 60% win rate Warden player with like over like 130 games, who else should I look for that is like Warden? Because I try, man. Like on Furnace, I try.
Yeah. I think you would really enjoy Wraith, and I think Wraith, once you
Wraith?
get to like Thanos level, I think Wraith can feel a lot like Warden, where you can just like run people down. So I would
I
highly
hate playing
recommend.
against Thanos Wraiths.
Yeah, Thanos Wraith is just like, yeah, and like once you get like your first tier 4 as Wraith, a lot of the time, I'm gonna update my build right now. But like one thing I've seen recently, which I think is like crazy good, is like you get your first tier 4 as Wraith at Colossus, and so like I can't put it in my build for whatever reason. So if you use my build, just but yeah, like it's becoming a little bit more common in NA. So just like,
do you mind hovering over Colossus real quick? I don't buy that like hardly ever. So what's so good about? I know it gives you.
It just gives you a ton of like defensive. So let's say like, okay, so let's imagine that I'm like my standard Wraith build. I'm just gonna buy like everything that I would have or whatever, and let's just to see like kind of like what it would give you extra, right? But let's say that I have like all my standard Wraith items. You know, this is like 28k, so like I guess I'm like decently late. And like I'm max level, so I'm 2300 health. And my resistances here, I have 31% spirit armor, and when I'm shooting with escalating resilience, I'll have 35% bullet armor. But if I add Colossus on top of that, right? Let's say that I don't know, I sell Infuser or something, and I add Colossus, then I go from 2300 health to 2800, almost 2900. And when I pop Colossus, it slows anyone near me, right? So if I'm running someone down, it'll slow them. And on top of that, like it gives me a bunch of resistances. So while I have Colossus active, like my resistances are just through the roof. Like I'm at like what, 60 resist almost, right? 59. So I'm just like, they can't kill me. So a lot of the time, the problem with left click carries late game is that like you get gone on, right? And you get like exploded. But if you have Colossus, like it's really hard to explode you. And a lot of the time you still do just a ton of damage.
Right. Okay. And if you're like in a 1v1, like picking somebody, they get flowing hex, ulted, Colossus flow, like all that.
Yeah, exactly. Like they can't go on you. Like Wraith has a lot of feel, especially with Colossus. So someone goes on you, it's just like, okay, well it's time to delete them, you know? Right. Delete them from existence. Especially if you have return fire on top of that, then you just like take no damage. Colossus on Mirage, yeah, you could go Colossus on almost anyone, but I think Mirage is a little bit weirder because Mirage tends to have a little bit more escape, and he's got a lot of evasion too. So a lot of the time you don't really need it, but you could go Colossus on Mirage too, yeah, if you're Thanos.
Okay. And then, so yeah, I have a good win rate on Wraith. I just don't have a lot of games, and like when I think about playing Wraith, I think like, no, that's boring. I don't want to do that. But when I play her, it's like, this is fun. This is awesome.
Yeah. I think you'll change that. There's a lot of ways to play Wraith. You know, find the way that's more fun to you. You can play her like Wraith is one of the characters with the biggest build diversity in the game, in my opinion. You can play her as like more of like a long range like damage dealer that's like sits in the back and does a shit ton of damage with sharpshooter. You can play her like my build here is like just a tanky fighter Wraith, right? So you might enjoy this.
I like
because
that.
This is like I've got return fire, escalating resilience, right? Like spirit armor. Like I'm just building to be tanky. I'm not building to like to just do like 1,000,000 damage. Like I still do really good damage, but like I'm building to just be really survivable.
Yeah, and if they want to kill you, then that you're an ordeal.
Yeah.
Okay, how about a third character? So the remaining of my roster would be like Haze Furnace. He's kind of bad right now, right?
I think she's definitely playable. But like she's not amazing, but she's definitely playable. Like if you like
Haze, at my rank, it's probably better, right? Yeah.
At your rank, I mean, I think at any rank, Haze is playable. If you're good at Haze, like I don't think she's bad even in Eterna's games or whatever. She's just in a little bit of a weird spot.
Okay.
Otherwise, Shiv can be a lot of the time like Warden, where you just like get in there and you're just final boss.
I hate Shiv. Yeah.
Well, if you hate Shiv, become the villain. But someone in Yodi said 7. 7 could be interesting. 7 can be final boss, especially when a lot of people like let you farm. So if you like farming and just like being a little bit further back, the thing with 7 is that he tends to be quite squishy, so he's a little bit like closer to like a Haze in that sense.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm thinking part of the reason why your win rate on Warden might be so high is because you are kind of like tanky and you can kind of brawl. That's why I was kind of mentioning other heroes that are more like that. But
right.
But 7, if you want to focus more on just being a farmer, and like you've talked to me about like having a hero pool to join a team. Right now 7's not particularly meta, but like there could be a time where he is, and he would definitely fit into that like M1 type of role.
Okay. Yeah. And remember we talked about roles, and it's like I think my role would probably try to be an M1 player, and like
Yeah.
obviously I have a long way to go, but I haven't enjoyed a competitive game like this since probably the beginning of CS:GO. Like I love this game.
Yeah, game's awesome. Can't
Yeah.
wait for a patch.
Oh, I know.
It's gonna be
Okay,
sick.
did you see that? Did you see Yoshi use 2 L's when he
Yeah,
spelled
I
holiday?
saw he used 2 L's. Yeah, I know. Everybody's like, oh my god, he used 2 L's. Is holiday coming out Friday? Look, I'm holding on to my horses, right? I'm being cautiously optimistic, like it's possible.
Yeah,
but
I saw
I'm
your
definitely
vid
not.
today.
Yeah, definitely not like. Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts, questions, anything? Hello. I don't know if I wait.
Do you hear me now?
I hear it. Yeah.
My stupid Logitech headset, I like hit the
All good.
Bluetooth button. I missed the last 15 seconds what you said.
I said, yeah. Any closing thoughts, statements, questions?
Just thank you very much as always. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Like I said, as always, feel free to DM me anytime. You know, I know I take some time to respond sometimes, but I will always respond. So if you have any questions or funny clips with Thurkle or whatever.
Whoa, wait, can you show the stream that?
Yeah, I'll show the. You want which
Dude,
clip? You want the
okay.
second one or?
Go to his profile. It's his most popular clip, bro. He shared your chat. Oh
Okay.
my god, it's so funny. Thurkle,
Yeah.
I followed him in his chat and he said, Citadel, how did this clip get 70 views in 2 hours? Where did you share this? And I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
post it in your chat, please.
One sec. I'll go to Thurkle's clips.
Videos. It's
Citadel
not featured.
dunks on Thurkle
Clip.
1v1.
Look at the views.
Shit, it's got a lot of views. Guys, give it some more views. Just
Like,
so
you need
this
the
guy's
audio.
really confused.
You need the
Everybody
audio.
go watch this clip just so this guy's like so confused.
Wait.
Why does it
Wait,
have
coach,
so many?
back it up. You need the proper
okay.
audio. You need to hear him complain to his chat mid-fight.
Okay, my bad. Okay, right, my bad.
No clip.
Is this character fair? Is the speed he's moving at fair?
Yeah,
Let's see.
and not with Rex. Oh,
Yeah, we'll watch the
Rex
clip.
hate.
I don't think we have audio.
Bro.
No, we do.
That's fine.
Oh.
Get into the lash. Get in the lash. Is this fair, chat? Is the speed he's moving at me
Look
fair?
at the movement.
Oh no.
Get slid on. Oh.
Okay, Thurkle. If you're watching Thurkle, I'm gonna give you some free coaching. Okay, if you're playing Wraith in this situation, all right.
I can't believe you
First
said
of all,
this coach got slid.
you need okay. Your Wraith, you have a bunch of green slots. Okay, like get like a debuff reducer. Okay, something like that, or a debuff remover, or something defensive. Right. Get a debuff reducer, get a knee shift, get an extra stam, right? So many things would have saved you there. And don't be this far up with 6k unspent. That's the free coaching right there. If you're this far up, like in a situation where the net worth, both teams are even right now, you have 5,300 unspent, you should never be like this far up. But yeah, that's free coaching. No hate at all. I've seen Thurkle before. He seems like a pretty good guy and pretty good player. In this situation, he kind of fumbled the bag, but it's okay.
I can't believe you showed stream. That's so funny.
Yo, thanks for the gifted. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, I don't want to take all of your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. All right, as the final, who should I raid? You get to decide.
Oh, let me look. Are we looking for deadlockers?
Yeah. I always raid deadlockers just so you know. But the community is so small right now. I like to keep the views within the community.
My boy Jasper. Here, let me link.
Jasper.
Okay, do you remember? Oh no, it's a different stream. But my boy Jasper, he's a goated viscous pocket 7 everything.
Okay.
Really nice guy. Very solid player.
Oh, he's watching the stream right now.
Yep.
He's watching the stream right now. Let's go.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll rate him. All right, guys, go show him some love. I'll link his chat on the YouTube chat as well. Boom. For YouTube. So go check him out. I'm gonna go like eat and stuff.
Yes, sir. Thank you, coach.
Yeah. Thanks for your time. Thanks for allowing everybody to see the session. Everybody say thank you, Citadel, and then we'll go raid.
God bless.
All right,
Next
bye.
time. All right, let's go.
Yeah, you guys, just a reminder, people don't get discounts when they do it on stream. So, you know, really got to thank him. He paid the same price as everybody else that does it off stream. So, allows you guys to learn as well. Does he post coaching VODs? I probably should. I probably should, right? I really should. If Citadel allows me to post this one, I'll probably make a video out of it if he allows me. I think it was a good session, and he's a good player too. But we'll see. Use this? Okay, perfect. I'll cook something up. All right, guys, let's go raid Jasper. Show him some love. All right, what do we say? We should say Capachungus Deluxe. Okay, that's what we say. We don't say anything else. I want you guys to just say Capachungus Deluxe.